Welcome to Recap Our Studio.
Every week, a group of individuals gathers at the local community center, headed by a priest called Jonathan Crow. Members of this group are highly traumatized people who relate their tales of weird happenings, awful incidents, and other bad experiences that have left scars on their desperate souls. A slender guy who seems beaten by life talks about an old voice that infiltrated his mind and compelled him to use increasing amounts of drugs and booze. He spent all of his money on every poison imaginable. Then he borrowed money, spent it again, and eventually began stealing to repay what he owed. It was eventually insufficient, and he got hooked to pain and terror in addition to narcotics. The voice in his head told him to do things he couldn't accomplish. The anxious man was abruptly interrupted by a latecomer who came via the entrance. The priest reassures him that everyone here is understanding and tolerant, but he is not required to divulge anything he does not feel comfortable sharing. Following that, Father Crow introduces a new member of the group, Jenny, a weary young lady who is visiting for the first time. Father explains to her that she may feel uneasy at first, but she can completely trust others around since they have all been through similar experiences. When she is ready, she may discuss what is bothering her. Jenny responds that she is willing to tell her tale since she is in desperate need of help and understanding. She claims she was in such despair that her whole family decided to travel to a certain location, only to find themselves in a dark alley. Their heads are immediately covered with sacks, and they are led to an unknown gloomy edifice. A weird table and a guy looking away from them greet them as an awful voice asks them to remove their luggage. Scott, Jenny's husband, is immediately dubious of what is going to happen. He confronts Jenny's father Ellen, who advised they come here to solve their issue. While Jenny is comforting her husband, the strange guy turns to face them, and a voice from under a scary mask implies that. A metal chain surrounds a round table that resembles a frightening roulette wheel. The figures take little steps across the chain and take tentative positions around the table. The host is aware that the family has come to win something that would fulfill their hopes. However, each game has its unique set of rules. According to him, they must all remain together until everyone has placed their wagers, which will decide whether they win or lose. When it is their time, the participants must express clearly what they aim to win. They must also wager a precious thing tied to their desire on red or black. When a wager is placed, the host spins the wheel of fortune. If the outcome matches the selection, the player wins. If it doesn't, their destiny is decided by their will, which may be rather fickle. The host inquires as to who want to make the initial move. This game, in Scott's view, is complete nonsense, but Alan tells his son-in-law that they will succeed just like many who have told him about it. Jenny offers to be the first to play to put an end to their disagreement. Scott, on the other hand, proclaims that the initial move will be his. When the host inquires about his desire, Jenny discloses that they have just lost their little daughter. Scott lays a strand of his daughter's hair on red and adds that all he wants is for her to return. The presenter turns the wheel, which eventually stops on black. The table claims the lock of hair, and Scott admits defeat, declaring that he was correct all along and that this entire notion was rubbish. He's ready to go when Jenny's mother says that if it's all nonsense, there's no harm in trying again. Jenny's mother returns with a crucifix that she had planned to give to her granddaughter for her baptism. She colors the cross red and prays for her granddaughter's safe return. Meanwhile, Scott finds he's bleeding from the back of his skull. He lets out a frenzied scream and starts peeling the flesh off his face. He collapses and suffocates on blood. Frightened, his family members inquire as to what is happening to him, and the presenter informs them that he has been eliminated and that the bets in this game are final. According to him, Alan should be aware that the wheel has stopped on black once again. Jenny's mother is dragged into the darkness as the crucifix vanishes. Alan shouts aggressively at the host, demanding the return of his wife. However, the presenter explains calmly that they chose to participate and that the rules must be observed. Alan swears to murder him. Jenny, on the other hand, requests that her father set the bed and seek to rescue her mother and Scott. Alan pulls out a little straw puppy and tosses it on the floor. He then removes his wedding band, sets it to black and requests that the host return all he has stolen from him. Fortune finally smiles on them, and the wheel stops on black. Scott instantly returns to his senses, as Alan's wife emerges behind him, carrying their granddaughter snugly wrapped in a blanket. Jenny pulls her from her mother, but she quickly discovers that the infant is dead. She yells angrily at the host, but he responds that it was decreed by the wheel of fate, and he is but its loyal servant. Jenny discovers her father's wallet with a photo of her daughter on the table and wonders why it's there. The host tells them that Alan has requested the return of everything that was stolen from him. Jenny recalls her father telling her that he had misplaced his wallet. She insists that her father tell her the truth about what he has done. Alan then tells her that when a buddy informed him about the game, he didn't trust him at first. To make things worse, they were also inebriated. He wagered the whole contents of his wallet, and his granddaughter looked to be a part of the bet. Jenny knows immediately that she has lost her daughter owing to a dumb gamble and shouts at her father in fury. He begs her pardon and claims to have attempted to bring her back. According to him, there is nothing further that can be done to remedy it. Jenny accuses her parents of being cowards as they depart. Scott attempts to soothe his wife and suggests that they both go. Jenny, on the other hand, responds that she will not be going without her kid. Jenny pulls her husband through the chain, checks her father's wallet on red, and demands her daughter's return. She tries spinning the wheel on her own but is scorched. The presenter makes it clear that one cannot wager on what has already been lost. Jenny then states that she is betting on herself pouring her blood directly over her daughter's image. The presenter spins the wheel, and it immediately stops on red. Everything is in complete darkness. Jenny watches life fill her daughter anew after it disappears. Jenny turns back, trying to locate Scott, and observes how he, along with her parents, are slowly being drained of vitality and ascending to the sky. Jenny is in astonishment and has no idea what is going on. After all, she has triumphed. However, the host reminds her that no one is allowed to leave the table until the game is finished. Jenny begs him for another opportunity. The host, however, responds that she has already lost enough and that the game is ended. Everything evaporates and Jenny and her kid arrive in an unknown abandoned building. She finds herself in the middle of a roadway in broad daylight after navigating her way through thick weeds. Jenny continues to state during the group gathering that she has returned to that location every day to discover nothing but an empty room. The cops didn't believe her. To avoid being labeled mad and losing custody of her kid, she eventually had to concede that it never occurred. But three persons cannot just disappear into thin air. In an effort to console Jenny, Father Crow tells her that he, like everyone else in the room, believes her. After all, this is why our club exists, for those who have experienced something unbelievable. Father praises everyone for having the fortitude to tell their tales and suggests that they pray. As he sends the group out, he reminds everyone of the meeting the following week. Jenny is skeptical that she would return, but Father grips her hand hard and insists on her return. Father enters the church by himself and starts to pray. He is terrified when he suddenly hears a loud noise behind his back. Out of panic, he walks to his room and attempts to wash his anxiety down with wine. His hands are trembling, and he is out of breath. Wine isn't helping, and the priest is straining to relax. That's how terrified he is, on the verge of hysterics. A tiny father, though, returns to the altar after gathering himself. He reluctantly goes on his knees and feverishly continues to gulp wine from the bottle. Father tries to pray again, pleading with God to be compassionate to him. But then, behind his back, the same game host arrives. Despite the demon's terrible appearance, the priest is not shocked. According to the devil, all of the solutions to the everlasting questions are nearly at hand. He just isn't searching in the correct areas. And all he has to do is believe. Father stops the devil uneasily, claiming that he has faith. He also mentions that he has already collected all of those folks and is unsure what more he needs from him. The devil responds that he is the darkness that consumes the light. He is the despair that kills their optimism, and he has big intentions for his congregation, particularly the priest. The priest stops in terror as meaty saliva pours down the demon's chin.